Oh boy, am I fucking excited for this one. You guys have been asking me to cover this for days now. 2 days at least, you've been asking me to cover this. And frankly, I've wanted to since I found out it existed, but I kind of put it off for a couple days. But we're finally here about to cover this. Now, I imagine most of you are familiar with Lily Orchard because despite the fact she only has 135,000 subs on YouTube, she's actually like known by millions of people, right? Because she is what is called a lol cow. Now, I know this term is very oftentimes used by like Nazis and far right individuals online and creepy stalker dins online, and that is that is where that term comes from. But the term lolcow also has a broader cultural meaning that I think some value can be derived from. Basically, Lily Orchard is somebody who is known by everybody, hated by most, made fun of by pretty much most, but basically strives and continues to exist despite all odds. Much like Onision, or Wings of Redemption, or Chris Chan, or DSP. These are a few examples. Lily Orchard is an example of this. Now, Lily Orchard is hated for a lot of reasons, okay? Now, one of the biggest reasons that people just never really liked Lily Orchard to begin with is, God, I gotta move my webcam for you to see it. I feel like I can only really summarize Lily Orchard's vibe with this image she has here of herself in the banner of her channel with like the smug Tumblr. Like, this is the lefty version of the conservative DreamWorks smile, right? Like when a conservative lies their ass off to your face, like you know they're full of shit, and they say, "Oh, I don't hate minorities. I'm just asking questions," and they hit you with like the smug DreamWorks smile. This is the lefty Tumblrite version of that. So there was always that people were never a big fan of with Lily Orchard, and you've also probably seen your favorite media critique or review YouTuber dunk on Lily Orchard's tips for writing. You see, Lily Orchard made this Twitter thread that went fucking viral of tips you must follow for writing, right? And they were just not great, right? And one of her go-tos, one of her biggest pet peeves with media is redemption arcs. She fucking hates redemption arcs, from what I can tell. Like, personally, I'm fine with redemption arcs as long as there isn't a point in it that makes me go, this character wouldn't forgive this character. What the fuck? Like, if I'm not like triggered by it, if it just feels real enough, then it doesn't bother me, because I believe in reformative justice. And if somebody is actually genuinely making an attempt to be good and do good and is not doing harm, I don't think the fact that they've done bad in the past immediately makes them deserving of death, even if they are now 100 billion% imminently not at risk of doing harm, and are not have kind of repented for that. That's sort of like a thing that Lily Orchard hates in writing, is redemption arcs, from what I can tell. But she says she doesn't hate redemption arcs, she hates bad redemption arcs. And with that said, I will admit the redemption arc in Steven Universe for the diamonds is a little, definitely could be done better if you consider the fact that like the diamonds are space Nazis who've done space genocides on space aliens, and they just kind of like sing a song about how they're sad, but like being good makes them happy, so they're gonna be good now. And it's like, you don't deserve to be slaughtered for what you've done, even though you're good now. But like, we're really just gonna, all we're gonna leave it at is you've done a song and you're good now. Kylo Ren was a space Nazi too. You're not wrong. Kylo Ren was a space Nazi. With that said, she also got a lot of shit for drawing like underage My Little Pony porn. It's fanfic. Oh, it's like, okay, so it's not drawn, it's written. Oh, okay. I assumed drawn when I heard like made underage My Little Pony fanfic porn. Like, that's what I assumed it would be drawn, but okay, written, I guess. Not My Little Pony. Wait, so it's just, hold on. All right, somebody type in chat the whole rundown of it. Somebody who knows 100% for sure. Oh, she denies it up and down the block even though there's evidence? Okay, include the evidence, because if she makes a response to me, I want her to have to edit out the part where I'm showing the evidence in her response. Lily Orchard. Kind of a weirdo. Kind of an asshole. Kind of an abuser. She also made a really bad video about ContraPoints back in the day that was just explicitly abusive. Just basically the exact same type of stuff that resulted in, Natalie Wynn basically getting addicted to opium and not being online and dealing with alcoholism and all that. Like, she's talked about this publicly extensively, that this is what she was dealing with when she was getting like all the online harassment. And Lily Orchard basically just kind of contributed to, and honestly was a shining example of the most abusive side of that harassment that ContraPoints was getting. And I say this all like not having the most positive opinion on ContraPoints after the whole like thing with what's her name, Cat Black and Vosh. Think I found it. Okay, well that's a whole document. There's also this Tumblr post I was sent. Stockholm, the Dash family, Stockholm, the Razzle Dazzle, Stockholm, the Littlest Dazzle, Stockholm, illicit disco. Good luck. And for all the fans saying Lily Orchard didn't write a pedo fic, explain this, and don't even use the excuse she said of the pedo dies in the end. Brace yourself. Normally I wouldn't post something like this, but this is for spreading awareness about Lily Pete. If that's Lily Orchard's name, Lily Pete. If you don't want to read it because the subject matter within, then that's fine. You're reacting like a decent human being. I'm not reading it, but apparently this is just links to the actual fanfic. Not to mention, Pete brings up Stockholm and it's in its glass of what? Its pronoun? Are we using its pronouns for some reason? What? I'm what? Am I not caught up? Glass of water, mommy Dagio equals alicorns. Then again, views can change over time. That's fair. But when views can change over time, well, I don't know if somebody changes their mind on being into pedo shit just kind of with time. I don't think that's how it works. That just shows that you're just a part of the problem, as the actual sex predators in this fandom don't believe me. Ask Lizzie. Okay, so Lily Orchard is sus, apparently. There you go.
Like, let's be honest.
Okay, come on, chill out, Lily Orchard. Don't just start going without my permission. Now I haven't pressed the play button yet. All right, let's watch the video. Let's check it out. Maybe politics as fandom wasn't a good idea. Let's check it out.
Like, let's be honest. Hypothetical Voshite in the comments, hurriedly tabbing away from AO3's race play tag. Hey, AO3, why do you have this? Were you really alt-right?
So I guess the joke there is that Vosh fans like race play porn? I don't know what AO3 is. What is that? Is that like a forum of some kind? I feel like the fact that she made this joke reveals how much of a fanfic site. Okay, I feel like that joke kind of reveals how much of a weirdo she is, trying to project it onto, I guess, this quote-unquote hypothetical Voshite watching the video. You know, me and Vosh are friends. I guess that makes me a Voshite, and by that logic, that makes Vosh a Xanderholic. So, you know what? There we go. Let's continue.
Hey, were you at Charlottesville? Were you stalking people on kiwi farms? Were you retweeting libs of TikTok as she threatened child hospitals? Were you the one threatening?
Libs of TikTok didn't exist when I was right-wing. Okay, so we're going a little fast here because the video is sped up, but I guess we're poisoning the well right from the beginning. What she's doing here is basically incredulously asking, potential Voshite watching this video, were you really right-wing or alt-right before you found Vosh, or were you really just sort of a shitlord online? Were you engaging in real-world terrorism or anything? No? You weren't killing anybody? Well then, your de-radicalization means nothing to the world. Only the most violent of Nazis really matter anyway, of course, as every lefty should know. What are you talking about? Hey Zan, I saw this vid earlier. This bit is a preview. Oh, okay, that's cool.
In children's hospitals? Were you actively pedo-jacketing trans women?
That's still... That is still... Holy shit, imagine... Wait, does Lily Orchard think that, like, Keffals wouldn't call Lily Orchard the R slur, I'm pretty sure Keffels is too base to have a positive opinion on Lily Orchard. But okay. She is a fan of Keffels. I'm gonna go ahead and let Keffels know the DL on Lily Orchard, so that Keffels can just dunk on Lily Orchard for being a fucking weirdo and abusive piece of shit, because that's actually hilarious.
Women, or did you just scroll through Twitter nodding along with edgelords?
Hey, look, I promise you I did not pre-watch this video, by the way. It's just that stupid people on the internet are so easy to like predict at this point when you just respond to their videos all day, that you just get really good at predicting what they're going to say. There you go. Were you hypothetical Voshite? Were you really alt-right? Well, were you engaging in real-world terrorism? No? You were just an edgy shitlord online? Well, then your de-radicalization really means nothing, does it? Like, good little well-poisoning at the beginning there.
No, Bonnie, we're not doing that today. Put the regular music back on. Don't give me that look, just do it.
I do, by the way, love the fact that Lily Orchard uses ContraPoints in the title of her video, where she's criticizing the whole like concept of like politics fandoms around creators. And how it's toxic. I'm assuming she's going to get into something about how it's toxic and yada yada, and how, like, oh yeah, her criticism was totally valid of ContraPoints, even though it was abusive and completely shitty. And that it's really Contra's fault that she has allowed herself to cultivate a fan base that would turn on her when she makes a mistake, and that she needs to grow up and handle the abusive treatment better, because, you know, she's actually being really problematic by allowing the abuse to get to her, and falling into alcoholism and drug abuse because of the depression. That's actually Contra's fault. What's also the fault of the creator? When what's her name? Fuck, how am I Lindsay Ellis. When Lindsay Ellis tweeted that thing about that fucking Disney movie or whatever, I don't even remember, and then got like so much harassment that she was literally like, she said she was shitting blood because of the like stomach ulcers and stuff. Like, Jesus Christ, that is from serious stress. And then like quit YouTube. Like Lindsay Ellis is no longer a YouTuber. She just exists in like some far off like nerd platform now, like what's it called, like Nebula or something. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's just ironic that she's going to come out of the woodwork to pretend like she is not part of the problem that resulted in the image that she is using for her thumbnail, this image of Contra. This is Contra from her canceling video right here, where she's talking about how she like fell into depression and alcoholism from all of the online harassment over nothing. Over literally nothing, pretty much. Lily Orchard contributed to this and was a shining example of the abusive behavior levied Contra's way. So it's ironic that she would use this image in her thumbnail. Just kind of shows how proud Lily is of her, of what she's accomplished.
A couple years ago, I made a video about the then topical controversy surrounding ContraPoints freely working with violent bigots and getting really sniffy when other trans people thought that was a bad idea. Now,
Is that what happened? Is that what happened? That's an interesting way to frame it. Let me tell you what actually happened. ContraPoints contacted Buck Angel, one of the most famous trans people in America. Definitely probably the most famous trans man in America at the time, who had nowhere near as much controversy around him at the time as he does now. He was still a piece of shit, and that was known, but nowhere near as known as it is now. She basically got him to do a voice line in her video because he sounded like John Waters, and she wanted a voice line of John Waters read out, and everyone lost their mind over it. Because she had Buck Angel read one voice line, and his face wasn't even shown in the video. And that was what started it. Yeah. He's a trans man. Yeah, yes, Buck Angel is a fucking idiot. Yes, we're all aware. Buck Angel is a piece of shit. But, like, imagine still standing by all of the harassment and hate that led to ContraPoints literally falling into alcoholism, depression, and opiate addiction. Because,
she aligned herself with trans people hating bigots and then got all snippy when trans people got mad about it. Yikes.
ContraPoints got in trouble at least twice after that, and there was a big blow up when Lindsay Ellis got in trouble for being really sniffy about people complaining about a racist take and rage quit.
Rage quitting. Holy shit. Okay, so Lily Orchard is just like subhuman trash. So that's like I wasn't even like I was actually like thinking I was cutting through some level of like of a mask of like I thought Lily Orchard was going to pretend to be a good person in this video. I was under the illusion that Lily Orchard had in some way changed her presentation to be less hateful and vitriolic in order to keep her career running, but apparently no. Lily Orchard is just like, yes, the woman who was harassed off the internet to the point of having medical, like, you can say, oh, ContraPoints is just weak because she fell into alcoholism and drug addiction and depression because of the harassment. But, like, if the harassment is so bad that you're having, like, internal stomach ulcers that are causing you to shit blood, that's a real medical response to severe stress. Like, and it's like a thing that can put you in the hospital. And that is what happened to Lindsay Ellis. That is why Lindsay Ellis had to leave the internet. She didn't rage quit the internet. The harassment was so bad that she literally had to stop for her physical health because she was hospitalized because of the physical response her body was having to the stress. Not only that, but what Lily Orchard is saying is a racist take was Lindsay Ellis said that that movie, Raya the Last Dragon, basically had the same plot as Avatar the Last Airbender. That was the racist take. The fact that people in chat are question marking indicates you didn't know about this. Are you starting to see now why people like me and Vosh tend to, like, not as often nowadays, but definitely back in the day, talked about how woke scolds are a real, like, problem and a real thing? That was why Lindsay Ellis was canceled to the point of leaving the internet because she had to for physical health reasons. Because she tweeted that those two properties had the same plot, and people called her racist over it because they wanted to see racism where it wasn't. And now we are down one massive lefty content creator on YouTube. Thanks, woke scolds. And this is Lily Orchard saying, like, literally months at, like, this is all well-known information. This is well after it's all happened. Like, Lindsay Ellis has been gone for a while. Lily Orchard is proud of this fact. Like, yep, she rage quit the internet.
Quit her job, but I never made videos after that despite people in my audience wanting me to. And the reason for that is that this video was the culmination of a lot of frustration with someone I had thought was a progressive ally, whereas all the instances that came later didn't have that.
Get that fucking shit out of my face. I hate the fucking term ally. Wait, also, isn't the term ally, like, doesn't the term ally, like, refer to people who aren't part of the group that they're an ally for? Like, you can't be a trans ally and be trans. That's not how it works, right? Like, you're, like, the term ally, and I hate the term ally, by the way. The term ally, let me tell you, let me hit you guys. I'm gonna go woker than Lily Orchard could ever dream of going, all right? The term ally is like a cookie, like a brownie, like a badge that, like, woke people have to, like, give, like, normies to make them feel good for meeting the bare minimum of, like, having decent, non-genocidal, non-hateful, non-bigoted, or discriminatory political takes. It's like a you're one of the good ones badge, okay? And it's cringe as fuck. It's why I hate being called an ally. It's why I hate when people use the term ally. It's why I think the term ally should essentially be eviscerated from the vocabulary of every leftist. I hate it.
That same frustration because I no longer felt that either of these people, or any of the people getting in trouble since then, were anything other than performers. So let's talk about that. So back in 2019, there was a storm and a takeout when ContraPoints did a video with Buck Angel, a notorious trans medicalist. This was coming off the heat of several years of ContraPoints engaging in what I like to call J.K. Rowling politics, where she views conservatives as J.K.
Rowling just opened up a rape and sexual assault clinic that is restricted to only cis women who are allowed to be hired or accepted there will turn away any trans person, and literally in their motto and in their like mission statement states that trans women are men who are only being referred to women because of a political agenda and are a danger to the like rape victims that would be being taken care of in said clinic or in said like facility. So comparing J.K. Rowling, who is literally right now hanging out with British neo-Nazis, and actually wants trans people dead. Like, J.K. Rowling wants to see the trans people taken off to the camps. To compare ContraPoints to that is absolutely vitriolic and demonic.
As sincere but wrong, and progressives as dishonest and hiding an agenda. I feel it's a little more nuanced than that, Lil. Yeah, but that's the general gist of it.
The conservatives that ContraPoints would frame as being sincere but wrong were the viewers of the demagogues that were basically built up as a part of a conservative propaganda media machine, media empire, I should say, that absolutely radicalized a shit ton of Zoomers back in like the 2014 to 2017, 2018 era. And yes, ContraPoints, PhilosophyTube, H-Bomber Guy, Vosh, all these content creators on the left that have large, significant platforms played a significant part in shifting online culture to being maybe not more left-wing, but more accepting of being left-wing, right? Like, you could not have a space that could exist without constantly having to defend itself outside of Tumblr that was explicitly progressive before 2017. On YouTube, like if you were a YouTuber, like a feminist YouTuber, like a liberal feminist YouTuber, most of your comments were hate comments, rape threats, death threats, stuff like that. Most of the response, like you had more hate, like dislikes than likes on every video. And if it wasn't that, if you were lucky enough that it wasn't that, then you were just too irrelevant and too much of a no one for some conservative content creator to have dunked on you yet. And you had like 1,000 subs maybe. Do you guys know how many subs Milo Stewart has? You know what really blew me away about how hostile the internet was to anything remotely progressive at that time? Milo Stewart, absolute fucking angel. Fantastic human being. Spoken to them very sparsely, but they have always been very kind and just just beaming with positivity every time I've spoken to them, which is very surprising considering what they've gone through. Milo Stewart, trans content creator who has been around a while online, they were like the target of every conservative anti-SJW response video. Like, Milo Stewart could not upload a video without a bunch of dipshits attempting to dunk on them. And it would be a video like, hey, here's my favorite characters who I think have queer energy, will be the video. And then it'll be like some Rantsona avatar like, well, actually, this character literally has straight sex in this game. So how are you going to say this character has queer energy? Yeah, okay. This is, you're clearly a fake gamer. Like, I don't know. Like, just shit like that would be the tier of like response video you would see. Guess how many subs Milo Stewart has? Last I checked, I'm not shit talking here, like trying to put them down, but like 13,000, which is a lot of subs. That's an achievement that literally every aspiring YouTuber would like claw their fucking eyes out for. But that's relatively small for how many of you probably recognize Milo Stewart's name from a conservative. Oh, currently 38K. Sorry. Back when I was like back in 2020, they had like 13K or like 14K. It was much less. So they've grown a lot since then. It's great. I love that. It's good to see they're growing. But like, that makes me wonder, like, how many subs did Milo have back then? Like, Milo Stewart have back then? And what does that tell you about how hostile YouTube was to anything progressive back then? You couldn't even be, like, in the tens of thousands of subs and make, like, content for your trans progressive audience without getting dunked on by dozens of anti-SJW YouTubers, all looking to make the same shitty points on your video every time you upload. They had like under 5K subs at the time. There you go. They dunked on tons of people who had like literally like it would be subs with channels with millions or hundreds of thousands of subs dunking on channels with a few thousand subs or less than 1,000 subs. That is what it was like back then. Do not try and claim that these massive content creators who exploded during this age, dunking on these right-wing content creators, did not play a part in making YouTube and these more like mainstream areas of the internet more hospitable to left-wing spaces.
Otherwise, we'd be here all day. While the version of this story Wynn's remaining fan base tends to go with is that she was cancelled for a single mistake, people had been growing increasingly discontented with her for a long time. And the problem is that we all just ostensibly assumed that because she was a trans woman, that she was as much of a true lefty socialist as the rest of us, and ignored her when she made it clear that she wasn't. And this has been
I'm going to say speak for yourself, Lily. I have been on the internet for a while, and I have encountered too many trans people who I could absolutely destroy in a debate on their own validity. Like, I have literally debated trans women on why they are valid and destroyed them in that debate as they try desperately to debate me on why they aren't valid. I've encountered this phenomenon too much. The simple reality, the phenomenon, the unbelievable reality that
being part of a certain identity doesn't make you an expert. Being trans doesn't automatically make you right on every trans issue.
Guess what? You want to know what made me realize this? The first trans person I ever spoke to in a long, extended period about trans issues was someone I met, a trans woman I met over Sea of Thieves. And me and her had a long conversation while sailing around and plundering random, ghost ships and stuff. And she would just tell me what it's like to be trans and, just about the science, about stuff, just talking about it, right? Because we were friends. And I learned a lot. And a lot of the information that I learned from those late night pirate missions with that friend, I use that info and that knowledge to inform a lot of my rhetoric today. However, that same person also went on a long rant about how non-binary people are fakers and trenders that are making the trans community look bad and are actually causing the trans community to have more problems having access to healthcare. The first trans person I ever spoke to who helped me learn a lot of the foundational stuff I know about trans people went out and said that in those same conversations. And it made me realize, okay, so just being trans is not enough of a resume to say, oh, you are an expert on this. You are correct on any issue revolving around trans stuff. And I do not assume such, just as I do not assume that every black person is an expert on race relations. In fact, I think that much like I would assume most white people are kind of stupid or wrong when it comes to race stuff. Maybe they think, oh yeah, why can't we have white pride, you know? I think that there's a lot of issues in POC communities with racism and problematic racial tendencies, right? That racial stereotypes and whatnot. I don't just assume because someone is black they're progressive or leftist or I don't see a black person on the street and be like, oh my god, you must be do you have a are you a fan of the Black Panthers? Do you have a picture of MLK up on your wall at home? You must be super into racial equality and stuff. Obviously I don't assume that. In the same way I don't see a trans person assume they must definitely have good takes on non-binary identity. They must definitely assume I don't even assume that trans people are guaranteed to believe that their own identity is 100% valid. Because even that is fairly rare to see among a lot of binary trans people that are older, especially if you talk to them are do you believe you are truly a woman? They'll say it'll happen. And that's cringe. So I think it's important I think that says more about Lily Orchard than it says about Contra, that she immediately assumed, yes, Contra, because she's a trans woman, must automatically be literally perfectly ideologically pure with the far left. That really says more about Lily than it says about Contra, I think.
recurring theme regarding much of BreadTube for a long time. BreadTube was viewed as this resurgence of left-wing YouTube in the face of a rising issue of right-wing debate bro channels. This happened because they started out with making fun of the likes of Davis Arini, Thunderfoot, and Sargon of Akkad, who were relatively easy targets for anyone to make fun of.
Oh, of course he has a trilby, of course. Why wouldn't he? I mean, what else?
Wait. I love, so one of the things that I love that woke scolds like to do in this like age where at least even with how bad it is now, you can have a platform online that's lefty without being inundated with nonstop hate, is that they like to pretend like it was obvious from the start, right? Like, I don't think you guys know, Davis Serini was popular before H Bomber Guy made his video. H Bomber Guy had to actually point out what a fucking loser Davis Serini was for a shit ton of Zoomers to realize, this guy actually is a fucking loser.
What else would you hang on your novelty toy skull? $15,000?
Now, I feel like I and the rest of my video watching compatriots kind of jumped the gun. Making fun of conservatives is easy. Hell, conservatives could make fun of conservatives before they all got
I also like this idea, because, by the way, woke scolds, and Lily Orchard is like the queen of woke scolds. Woke scolds do not see the right as a worthwhile threat to attack. You'll notice this, by the way. She talks about the right, like this massive fucking conservative media goddamn empire that has dominated the internet. And it's like, oh, conservatives are low-hanging fruit. Anyone can make fun of conservatives. Even conservatives can make fun of conservatives. Like, okay, yeah, they're stupid and wrong, but they're also way more popular, have way more money, and are literally, they have the fucking algorithm in a chokehold. Like, we're hearing stories, Jesus Christ, we're hearing stories from elementary school teachers where, like, their third grade male students are groping and harassing the female students, and when asked, like, what the fuck is going on, why'd you do this, they say, I learned it from Andrew Tate. Tate W, Top G, yeah, ooh, I'm doing Fortnite floss. What color's your Bugatti, teacher? What color's your Bugatti? You can't shit talk me. What color's your Bugatti? Andrew Tate has Bugatti. Do you have a Bugatti, teacher? That actually happened. There was a teacher who, like, had a student say, what color is your Bugatti? Andrew Tate has a Bugatti, to their teacher when their teacher asked, like, said, you shouldn't be listening to this shit. We live in hell. We all died, and we are in hell right now.
obsessed with things getting woke. This wasn't a difficult thing to do, and while a handful of BreadTubers have largely stayed on the path of leftist politics, those tend to be the ones for whom
I like how one of them here is Thought Slime, who this image of Thought Slime kind of perfectly encapsulates his vibe, doesn't it? Or their vibe? I actually don't know what pronouns Thought Slime goes by. Their vibe. Like this sort of quirky, awkward, like, oh, I'm such a cute soft boy. Ignore the fact that I literally, with no evidence and against the wishes of the supposed victim in the situation, slandered a much smaller and like half my age content creator as like a sex cultist. I'm just a little soft boy, you know. That's what left it. By the way, like, and Sean, who's like an absolute dipshit on Twitter, H Bomber guy who like uploads once a year, and I do like Ian Danskin. Ian Danskin goes pretty hard. We won't disagree there. I like how this is like, these are the people who have stayed on the path of leftism. Let's see who's strayed. Who has strayed from the path of leftism?
they were a genuinely held passion. But even they aren't immune to criticism, and even they—
Also, H Bomber Guy, I don't think H Bomber Guy is a leftist. I think Ian Danskin is. Obviously, Thought Slime is, and obviously Sean is, but is H Bomber Guy a leftist? Or is he just progressive? He is a leftist? He's literally bisexual? Well, there you have it.
they don't have perfect leftist theory. For the rest, it always came down to the inevitable push and pull between ostensibly leftist politics and content farming for money. LeftTube was similar to the cartoon community in that on YouTube, it's a relative—
Okay. So, something that you must always remember is that there is a line between when somebody has no arguments, and so they just say you're doing this to make money because they have no other argument, and when someone is actually doing something only to make money, right? So you'll notice that when I call a content creator a grifter who's only doing or saying something in order to make money, you'll notice that I do this alongside like a significant body of evidence of, like, for example, my most recent one was Candace Owens, where I exposed that Candace Owens was a lying grifter. And that came alongside an entire article that went over all of the evidence of her past where she has always followed the money, where she's literally had the NAACP help her sue her college for discrimination, and yet today calls the NAACP one of the worst organizations ever to exist for black people, and says that racial discrimination is not real, and actually discrimination conceptually is actually a good thing. The left has made a dirty word. Like, this is somebody who is clearly a grifter, who is following the money and just saying shit for the money. When people don't have an argument, though, on the internet, and they want to shit talk a YouTuber, they'll say, you're doing this for the money as well. Good example of this. I did my video calling out Shoe on Head's lies that she made about me in her video, in part responding to me. And her boyfriend, who's a neo-Nazi, Eudaimonia, the neo-Nazi guy, the Catholic convert neo-Nazi guy, Eudaimonia, she's dating. He made a post on Twitter like, Zan only used Shoe on Head's full name, her full username in the title, to maximize the amount of money he'd make from the video. And it's like, okay. So on several levels, this is a stupid argument. And I think I'll tackle that argument because it also works to tackle Lily Orchard's argument. When you're a content creator, a YouTuber that talks about politics, you are, first and foremost, an influencer and content creator. And the reason why I say this, despite the fact that the entertainment value of your content is least important to the world, it is most important to your content existing, right? Nobody will watch your content if it isn't entertaining. If you don't succeed at being an entertainer, you don't actually gain an audience. The education value and the argumentation are always secondary. Like, besides a couple of content creators with a few dozen thousand subscribers who do, like, really dry, like, I don't know. Like, the Khan Academy YouTube channel is obviously not entertainment first, education second, right? But the vast majority of YouTube content that is political is edutainment, right? Which is primarily meant to be entertaining, to keep you watching, to actually make you click, to make you enjoy it, right? You won't actually watch it or internalize the info if you don't like or resonate with what you're seeing. But the secondary is influencer, right? We influence people. I'm not just an entertainer who can say, oh, I just do what I do to make people laugh and I'm just supposed to make people entertained and funny. No, I am also an influencer. And as much as the word influencer is cringe and kind of a dirty word online, it is accurate. I do have influence. I have influenced many of you to change your politics, to vote a certain way. And it may not be as much influence as other content creators, but it is still influence. It is actually a huge part of why I argued the way I did against Shoe on Head, because she is a massive influencer. She has large amounts of influence, and she desperately just wants to be seen as an entertainer when she does something wrong. So, yeah. This is a non-argument from Lily Orchard. She has no real argument, so it's like, oh, they're only doing it to make money. Yes, if your job is to make YouTube videos, you want to make money off of it, and you will absolutely maximize your content output and the way it's made so you make money from it, because you need money to live, but it doesn't mean that you're a grifter who's only doing it for money. I feel like this is pretty obvious.
Relatively niche environment with only a handful of standouts. There can only be one H-Bomber guy or Phantom Strider, and the rest mostly mill about picking up the scraps. And I say this as a proud scrap picker myself. But what inevitably happens when a community of content creators establishes itself is that everyone comes in looking for their little piece of the clout pie. There's a common discussion nowadays regarding debating the alt-right, or rather, just the right. People will say that it helps debunk conservative thought, but that's always been a very tenuous leg to stand on. It's what
Every single woke scold, like, this is just the DJ Mule essence of thought. Like, every single woke scold we've dealt with over and over and over again, just arguing desperately, please stop arguing against the right, stop arguing against the right. The reason why they do this is because they do not value argument against the right. Someone like Lily Orchard does not get clout in the spaces Lily Orchard occupies for dunking on a conservative. Like, if Lily Orchard made a video dunking on Sargon of Akkad, her audience would not give her the, like, back claps and brownie points she wants, because that's too basic for them, right? It's too basic. What they want to see, what's based in their mind, is out leftying someone who is beloved and popular for being progressive. Being more progressive and popular than someone else who is also progressive and popular, basically being more pure than other progressives. That is what is seen as more socially valuable than actually fighting against the onslaught of conservative and fascist domination we're seeing.
Conservatives used to say about debating feminists and what atheists used to say about debating creationists. You can't destroy a school of thought by owning one guy with facts and logic. If you could, they would have died out a long time ago. It's that old Steven Universe problem.
No one says this. Nobody who is in favor of debate says that, like, debating the right is what destroys their ideas. Everybody who is in favor of debate agrees that it is to convince the audience. Like, okay, I mean, good luck convincing anybody who likes debate with that argument, because that's not what they believe.
Problem where you have an extremely simplistic solution to a problem, and yet you simultaneously believe it's so complicated that you're the first person to think about it. Ben Shapiro is not the supreme leader of fascism, but that doesn't stop everyone debating him 17 times a day. Why?
That doesn't stop everyone debating Ben 17. Okay, so for starters, Ben Shapiro is the CEO of the Daily Wire, which hosts Matt Walsh, who is like the leader of the trans pedo groomer conspiracy that is like currently the most likely thing to lead to an LGBT genocide in the West, like any time in this century. So there's that. Ben does not debate people at this point, pretty much at all. When he does debate, it's like once a month, and it's college students, not YouTubers or leftists like Debate Bros, because he'd get destroyed. I could destroy Ben Shapiro in a debate, and I'm not all that great of a debater. This isn't even... Like, Ben Shapiro, you could actually argue that Ben Shapiro is like a tendril in the onslaught of fascism on our country right now. Yeah, he is literally the head of the Daily Wire, the guy who... the company that hosts Matt Walsh, Andrew Clavin, Michael Knowles, Abby Shapiro. Who else? Who else is Daily Wire? Candace Owens is also Daily Wire. Good friend of Kanye West, Kanye I Love Hitler West. Jesus Christ, how fucking... This is literally why I hate woke scolds so much, not because they go after lefties or me or, like, anybody who's my friends, but because they always end up coming around like some horseshoe theory bullshit, defending the right. They are playing defense for the conservative media empire that we are desperately trying to put a chink or a crack into right now, to like try to let just a little bit of light through to the audience that is being just brainwashed by the likes of anything from Andrew Tate to Ben Shapiro to Matt Walsh, etc. Jesus Christ, this is just benefiting the right. Just attacking anybody who dares to try to make a career out of, doing the thing the right does. Being a content creator. Like, literally, the right has these people who just make a living off of spreading their politics, and someone like Lily Orchard makes their living off of attacking people who try to make a living off of dunking on conservative politics and spreading lefty politics. How is this helping? How is this helping from her perspective? Is she a tanky? I don't think she's that invested in... I don't think she's a tanky. She hasn't really said anything here that's tanky. Like, I feel like she would have quoted like the DJ Mule fake Lenin quote where it's like, Lenin said the debate is pointless, so debate's pointless, remember? And then he said a fake Lenin quote. I feel like she would have done that if she was a tanky.
Why? Because it's easy. It's easy content. It's an easy content farm. You don't have to do much, and you don't have to be very smart. And that's the Debate Bro grift. It's always been the Debate Bro grift. But the problem is that any audience who likes debates as content...
Oh, you want to hear something disappointing I found out today? Taliesin and Evitel, one of the best WoW content creator channels on YouTube, follow DJ Mule on Twitter. I wonder if they know.
Won't stick around for the same easy targets, so instead they have to make more reaches. Ian Kuczynski made a name for himself debating the alt-right in an extremely edgy fashion, utilizing slurs and large screaming declarations.
Lily Orchard is an abuser, okay? And what she's doing right now is actually an abuse tactic. I forget what the name of it is, but people who are more familiar with abuse tactics in chat may be able to fill me in. But I'm going to describe it. It's essentially when an abuser will basically take something the abuse victim has done one time a long time ago and essentially force that on them as part of their identity, or gaslight them into thinking it's something, or just constantly claim it's something they have a problem with or do constantly, right? So let's say 2 years, like me and you are roommates, right? Me and you, hypothetical viewer, are roommates, right? And 5 years ago, we've been roommates for 5 years. And 5 years ago, I dropped a glass of water and it shattered on the floor in the kitchen. And you were like, bro, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, sorry, I won't do it again. But then from then on out, every single time I like tried to get a glass of water, you were like, whoa, 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 whoa. You literally drop glasses of water. You drop glasses of water. I'm not trusting you. You drop glasses of water. That's what you do. That is what you are. You drop glasses of water. You can't be trusted with a glass of water. You have a problem with dropping glasses of water. It's an abuse tactic that can happen interpersonally. I speak from experience. But also something that people like Lily Orchard, who is an abuser, like interpersonally and as a public figure, will engage in as well. I've noticed it a lot. I've seen woke scolds engage in this behavior where they'll be like, Vosh says slurs. And it's like Vosh screams racial slurs, right? And it's like, okay, does he? Well, let's look at how many times he's said a racial slur on stream before. Like once. 4 years ago now? 4 years ago, I think. And yet that is still a non-stop constant descriptor of Vosh. To this day, 4 years later, the tactical N-word thing is still brought up as like a constant thing. It's like Vosh says the N-word in every stream. That is who he is. And that is, I've also been I've also had that done with me as well. Like, one bad thing that I've done in the past is just a nonstop constant thing I do still to this day. Hell, yeah, I've even heard woke scolds on Twitter say that I was a neo-Nazi 6 months ago. I will hear woke scolds on Twitter, like, shrink the amount of time it's been since I was de-radicalized from the right to absurd amounts. Like, I will see woke scolds on Twitter say that, like, act as though I'd made my How I Left the Alt-Right Rabbit Hole video, like, a few months ago, and they'll act as though the events of that video had happened a few months before that. I've literally heard them say, when Zan was a Nazi, like, 6 months ago and then decided to become a lefty YouTuber or whatever, right? Like, I've literally heard people say shit like this. They will engage in the most dishonest, history-rewriting, gaslighty behavior imaginable to make you look bad, because it's all about destroying your reputation. It's all about abuse tactics. I've followed you for longer than that. Yeah, but they'll, like, literally 10 years from now, you will hear woke scolds saying Xander Hall was alt-right like a year ago. Because the closer the proximity I am, like the closer my proximity to when I was a conservative is, which was in reality like 6 years ago is when I was a conservative at this point. Like the closer I am in my life in proximity to that time, the worse I look in their minds. So that is why they want to shrink how long it has been since I became more progressive, right? The longer I've been progressive for, the more dedicated to these ideals I look. So they want to lie and say, hey, I've been progressive for 6 months, when it's been more like 5 years at this point, 6 years at this point. Most people who criticize Vosh's tactical N-word don't even know the context of who he was talking to, or what they were talking about, and none of them are brave enough to have a confrontation with the type of people Vosh argues with and makes public fools out of. Oh yeah, none of them, like, will engage with the context, but if you try to bring up the context of it, they'll be like, so you think context makes saying the N-word okay? And it's like, no, but I think you're being dishonest about the framing of it. I think the framing matters to the, like, how bad it was. But yeah. For those that don't know, he was arguing with a bunch of Nazis on a Nazi podcast called The Kill Stream, and they were saying the N-word over and over again, and the loudest and craziest of the Nazis said the N-word word for word, like the N-word, instead of actually the slur. And Vosh basically just said, you know, you can say N-word, right? It's your podcast. And they were like silent for a couple seconds. Like they didn't expect him to do that. And we got the most legendary copy pasta ever out of that. It was great. In this video, I dropped an N-bomb. Big one. I forget how the rest of it goes, but I hope I get an opportunity where I can copy paste that exact meme and just input what I did in the place of whatever. Like, it's an iconic copy pasta at this point.
But as his audience became increasingly bored of it, he had to branch out. The problem was he didn't really have a praxis outside of class reductionism and calling people.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? You know those like anti-SJW media review channels that'll like dunk on whatever media is supposed to be woke or whatever, and they'll take like a woman or a black person from the show and put them in the thumbnail with like their eyes photoshopped to be super wide, like the giant huge eyes. You know what I'm talking about? You guys have seen the videos, right? Where it's like woke movie fails and then like the giant photoshopped like eyes, you know? It kind of reminds me of that, you know? Like just yeah.
Nazis, and when he did branch out, he ended up just calling people Nazis. And he
the funny thing is, the hilarious thing is right now, the shit that Professor Flowers believes is like 2 or 3 degrees away from what Kanye West is saying and believing and falling for. It's like, I like how she's literally citing the debate that Vosh had with Professor Flowers when the ideology Professor Flowers subscribes to is like about as far away from what Kanye West believes as what I believe is away from a hightail worship, okay? Like, I don't even know. Like, it's not that far off. Obviously, she hasn't gotten any rants about the Jews, but all but the Jews part, she's pretty much said.
Concept that was more complicated to him than Nazis bad, working class good would inevitably be filtered through increasingly unhinged hypotheticals to worm the subject back to that framework.
God, these people, they so badly they're so mad about the euphemism being cut through. It's a lot like Nazis and alt-righters getting mad at you for calling out the dog whistles they use. Vosh basically just called out the euphemism and dog whistles that Professor Flowers was using, and they get so mad. They're like, no, we're just being nuanced. This is literally the lefty, like Hotep version of I'm just asking questions. She was just asking questions. How could you call her a bigot? She's just asking questions, guys.
Most infamously when he screeched accusations of white genocide at a black woman sight unseen for arguing about land back, which is the return of stolen land to
Oh my god, he screamed at a black woman. What a monster.
indigenous people, which, if you live in the United States or Canada right now, is the land currently under your feet. This has been a running problem with Ian in that when it comes to white people, he wants all that ooh democratic socialism, but when it comes to anyone else, he's usually all about mass ethnic cleansing.
So I guess she thinks Vosh is in favor of mass ethnic cleansing. Are we gonna get a pro or anti-Israel take here? Lily Orchard's so fucking stupid. I honestly do not know.
Jewish people living on stolen land and doing ethnic cleansing, he wants to nuke the civilians. White people living on stolen land and doing ethnic cleansing, well...
Oh wait, is this the carpet bomb Israel clip meme? Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense. All right, cool meme. So by the way, this is literally Lily Orchard pulling talking points and dishonestly edited clips from Nazis on Twitter. Do you know who originated these dishonestly edited clips? Like, these narratives that she's been regurgitating aren't actually what Vosh has said. They're actually edited together clips that went viral on Twitter back in 2019 and 2020 that started these narratives that were also have been parroted by a lot of woke scolds, but they were started by a Nazi named I Hypocrite. I Hypocrite is just a full-on neo-Nazi, just a through and through full-on neo-Nazi. I don't think he's around anymore. I think he might have had a mental breakdown, left the internet by now. But he's the one who started the shoddily edited together clip trying to make Vosh look like a pedo. He's the one who edited together the clip of him saying the N-word to make him look racist. He's the one who edited together the clip of him saying carpet bomb Israel. These are all narratives that originate from a neo-Nazi Vosh destroyed in a debate so bad that this neo-Nazi dedicated himself to trying to destroy Vosh's image, and the woke scolds are helping. How wild is that?
Stopping him from doing that is hurting him specifically, so he doesn't like that. This class-first socialism has always been extremely vulnerable to this kind of white supremacist thinking. And make no mistake, Ian is a white supremacist. You can make
then I guess your neighbor Joe is a goddamn Nazi. Holy fucking shit. Can you imagine living in a world where you think that Vosh is a white supremacist and then going outside and seeing your average like griller, like centrist type. Like if someone as far left as Vosh is a white supremacist to you, then like Joe down the street who doesn't vote must literally be Hitler. Like he must, like in your eyes, he must literally be going out every night to like murder innocent trans kids or something. Like I don't even know. Fuck. This woman truly is deranged.
Make all the ooh-woo wise of the proletariat speeches you want, accusing people of color of wanting to genocide.
All of us are we all are very well known here for our frequent watches of Vosh's ooh-woo class solidarity speeches. Vosh loves his ooh-woo speeches. It's been 40 minutes and we're 5 minutes into the video. I'm sorry, Lily Orchard is hitting us with breakneck bullshit.
White people, or suggesting that there's merit to the conspiracy theory that Jewish people control global banking is pretty fucking telling.
If you're too young.
So we're getting the Nazi memes. She's literally just regurgitating talking points about Homeboy that originate from neo-Nazis. Literally just dishonestly lied clips made by neo-Nazis designed to help soften the blow of how hard they got destroyed in a debate with Vosh. She's just helping them. Like, this is why I say woke scolds are not in any way a benefit to the left. They are a detriment. They are a part of the left publicly to the detriment of the left. When people like this are like, people like Lily Orchard has probably caused the left to look like, she has probably done more negative like optics for the left than I have ever done positive optics for the left. I want to give you an idea, because like Lily Orchard is, millions of people know and hate Lily Orchard, and she has like 135,000 subs. That is how awful she is, and like how disliked she is by the broader internet, right? She's not a liked content creator. And she knows that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Those are both things she did.
Ian is a grifter. He does all of this for content and money. He isn't very smart. He isn't politically motivated. And he's a very emotionally stunted white man with all of the opinions of someone who didn't get beaten up enough in high school. But because
you are a brony. You are a brony. You are literally a fucking brony who watches and makes videos about little children's cartoons. I'm sorry. You make videos about little children's cartoons. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying you don't get to call someone an emotionally stunted child.
he sometimes says all the right socialist words that would have been considered radical back in the Gilded Age, he got to enjoy a position of clout among the rest of left tube, who have largely ignored his fascist leanings. I have always been a big proponent of understanding the difference between stated politics and actual politics. Ian's Wikipedia page has to clarify his politics as self-described left-wing. That's how bad he is at being left-wing.
Okay.
I'll just have to take his word for it most of the time. Give people enough time, they'll show you who they are. You just have to stop ignoring it. See, the thing about ContraPoints is flagrant courting of right-wing figureheads like Buck Angel and Blake.
I like how, like, Vosh is literally known right now for being the guy saying, much to the dislike of liberals, there is a trans genocide imminent. Please prepare. Please update your passports. Please buy guns. Please arm yourselves and prepare for an imminent genocide. Don't listen to the liberals saying it's not coming and to calm down. Prepare yourselves. I'm genuinely worried about you. This is who she's saying is like, we just have to trust him when he says he's left-wing, because he never demonstrates any progressive values.
Blair White and the deriding of trans people pushing for visibility as radicals is that ContraPoints was doing what a lot of breadtubers do, positioning where she was politically, philosophically, and socially as the Overton window, and everything to the left of her as radicals and hyper-woke. And she ultimately refuses to budge from there. This is the fundamental problem of most.
The reason why Lily Orchard is mad here is because the character of Tabby from ContraPoints' videos is literally people like Lily Orchard. Lily Orchard is just mad that ContraPoints in her videos, before it was even cool, acknowledged that there is portions of the progressive community that are absolutely psychotic and abusive and are not effective, and that as much as we love you and we wish that you could just chill the fuck out and be normal, you're still insane, and we're gonna make fun of you. That is what Tabby is. Tabby was based. What the fuck? No, Tabby was not based. If you thought Tabby was based, then you are kind of missing the point of the character Tabby. Tabby is the insane, misled, like, holy shit, calm the fuck down and be a normal person. You're not getting anything really done here. I love you and we're on the same side, technically, but, like, calm down. That is what the point of the character Tabby was, as far as I could tell. Maybe there's a different go DM ContraPoints. Ask her what the point of Tabby was.
Most of BreadTube. They position where they are.
Yes, the aesthetic and comedy of Tabby, like, as a character is absolutely fantastic and funny, but, like, the archetype that Tabby is meant to represent is not based. The archetype that Tabby represents are the people on Twitter that are, like, celebrating, like, ContraPoints falling into alcoholism and drug addiction and Lindsay Ellis leaving the internet because she had to for health reasons. Like, Tabby, the archetype of the person Tabby represents is just bottom-feeding scum trash, okay?
As peak leftism, and everything else is either the far right or a woke distraction. Many of them are only tenuously leftist, and many of them hold far right views, but they also don't like capitalism. Indeed, much of BreadTube is of the opinion that opposing capitalism is the
So she's saying we're Nazbuls. So she's trying to say we're Nazbuls. Oh, wait, like Brian Griffin. Like, Brian Griffin is, like, he pretends to be a liberal, but he's actually really racist. That's what, like, BreadTubers are? Okay, cool. All right.
The only real leftist priority, and everything else is a distraction, which doesn't work because any leftist policy that doesn't prioritize anti-racism is just conservatism.
You know what I love about Lily Orchard videos? Maybe you guys can't really pick it up because of the how sped up it is. Let me, like, slow it down so you guys can hear it fully drawn out. It really feels like she's screaming, like scolding her point into you, right? Doesn't it feel like this is like your disappointed mom screaming at you as to why you're wrong? Listen to this.
With a hammer and sickle. And the crux of the response to most of the criticism of ContraPoints was largely people telling ContraPoints that she needs to start caring about how other people think and feel, and ContraPoints going,
But, like, I don't wanna, you know?
This was someone...
Point made on my part, and also there are going to be Tumblr tier clips of baby shows mixed in here that are super quirky and cute and ooh woo, because we're getting Tumblr humor here. Lily Orchard is Tumblr distilled into a person.
One who, like Ian, was largely only leftist because we assumed this of her, and even she would contest that and say, nah, I'm like more of a centrist. And a lot of her more out there videos, particularly Envy, came off more and more like she was superimposing her own experiences with gender and capitalism onto everybody. This is clearly a woman who has developed
that bundle of videos, like Envy and like, hold on, give me a second. I need to think for a second, because Lily Orchard is so stupid that, like, her arguments exist so far outside of reality that I have to reboot the simulation in my brain so that, like, I can see the world from her perspective and then debunk why her point, like, explain why her point is stupid even in her own world. Okay. ContraPoint's video, Envy, as well as the bundle of other videos she made at the time, were about her life experiences in regards to her transition and discovering her sexuality, as well as some stuff involving relationships that was related to both. These were stories about her, how she felt, what she experienced, and discussing her lived experience. This is Lily Orchard responding to a trans woman discussing literally nothing but just discussing her lived experience by saying,
That's not my experience. So you're kind of an abusive piece of shit for talking about what you went through when it's not what everyone went through. So go fuck yourself, you problematic piece of trash.
I feel like I'd do a good Lily Orchard impression.
Developed a taste for the finer things in life and generally wants to be a part of upper society. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Let me speed up this video again because I just realized we're going back at normal speed and that's not happening. Fuck that.
Socialism has long had to contend with the fact that a lot of people in it just want to have the means to survive, while a lot of other people look on at the wealthy with searing envy. But that latter group is never going to be happy because that opulent wealth just can't exist without an explosion.
The ideal, by the way, is that the bare minimum, at the bare minimum, everybody should have the bare necessities for survival. This is not a revolutionary take, but I think that, like, the most appealing aspect of socialism is that at least under market socialism, which I think is probably like what I'm most amiable to, because it is the most market socialism feels so transitional, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like just such a perfect little like liminal period between full like capitalism and full on socialism? You know, you still have a market, right? So there's still an economy. There are still luxury goods and items that you could buy and save up for. But your job, you would have democratic ownership of your workplace, of the means of production of your workplace. You would have a democratic say in how things are done. If you have a manager you don't like, you would be able to vote him out. He wouldn't be the manager anymore. Everybody would have more buying power in the economy because you wouldn't have to worry about paying rent to make sure there's a roof over your head. Make sure you're paying the water bill so you actually have water flowing through your pipes. Make sure you pay the electric bill so your lights turn on, your heating works, and your air conditioning works, and your grandpa's fucking medical shit that keeps him alive works, and what have you. Like, you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about insurance. You don't have to worry about goddamn taxes as much. Presumably under socialism, taxes would not be... The way that, like, the government paying for things would work differently, and so it wouldn't work in the same way that we pay taxes now, presumably. Regardless, though, I don't know exactly how a market socialist America would look. Sounds very appealing to me. I don't even know if, like, Lily Orchard... Has Lily Orchard ever really gone into any detail about socialism before? Like, how knowledgeable is she on it? Like, how dedicated to the idea of socialism is she? Like, my goal is at the bare minimum, everybody should have surviving and living a basically like a 21st century, like, good living standard life should not be a what if, in my opinion, for humanity at this point or any point in the future. It literally isn't reasonable from a practical perspective. Like, we have the resources to achieve that. It's a matter of distribution. That's just a reality, right?
Exploitative system to surround it. Socialism isn't about making everyone wealthy, it's about making everyone stable. But this performative...
Wow, who would... Jesus, there you have it. Lily Orchard saying, these fucking bread tubers don't believe this, and then I, like right after I say, this is what I believe, and then it's that, you know, like, Jesus, okay.
Approach to wealth and opulence is a blinder, especially if you make a
Way to prove yourself wrong with your timing, Lily Orchard. Because I literally said I believed in that like 10 seconds before you said these bread tubers don't believe in that.
Your salary. This is doubly so for gender. Like every wannabe philosopher, ContraPoints...
Also, ContraPoints has never claimed to be a socialist. She's always just sort of been progressive, right? Like, she's just always been left-leaning on issues, right? She's never claimed to be a socialist or a communist. Like, is that, like, what the problem is? That, like, how dare she grow such an audience of leftists when she is not herself one?
Tends to assume that there's a deep-seated philosophical reason in non-binary people's existence because, well, she's got a lot of deep-seated contradictory feelings about gender, surely everyone does. This rather infamous clip is rather telling in that regard.
So the polite thing to do here is easy. If someone asks you to call them they, you call them they.
But if you're like me, you don't want to just do a thing because you dogmatically believe it's...
I like how we're getting the ear rape and distortion here, so it's impossible to actually hear what she's saying. Like my favorite type of well poisoning is when you play a clip of somebody in such a way that's so unintelligible that all you can get from it is, well, I guess this person's saying something I'm supposed to think is bad. I guess I'll translate what she's actually saying. She said, you call someone they if they say they want to be called they. Simple as that. End of discussion. However, let's talk about non-binary identity. Having a nuanced discussion about this and wanting to understand it does not equal bigotry, especially if it is literally prefaced with, if somebody says they want to be called they, you call them they. Simple as that. That is not bigotry, no matter how much you want to try to say that her saying but means she didn't believe anything that she said before. I know that's what she's trying to say, that like the but is like when a Nazi says, I'm not racist, but, and then goes on a racist screed. But that wasn't ContraPoint saying, I'm not NB-phobic, but, and then going on an NB-phobic screed. That was her saying, don't be NB-phobic. Now here's how I want to here's like me and my journey to try to understand non-binary identity. It's not what she's trying to make it out to be. It's just blatantly dishonest.
the woke thing to do.
God, you're pretentious. The truth of the matter is that using someone's pronouns doesn't really have a why outside of because I said so. It's like asking the reason you should use someone's name. I'm a proponent of what I call totalitarian.
Oh my god. Oh, you're so cool. Oh my god. You're gonna totally crack the teeth of those fascists that are coming to the pride shows and drag shows with guns. Yeah, when you're so quirky and bad, you're so badass, aren't you? When the shooters and the far right fascists come to like shoot out the power infrastructure in your town so that all of the security cameras go out and you can't call the police and they come to your house to kill you because they know that you're trans because your neighbors are fucking because you live in the South. Like, yeah, you're totally, you're part of the totalitarian gender. Like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this? Like, this is the type of rhetoric that you get to do when there is not an imminent genocide. Okay, this is the type of. Listen, all right. The correct position is, unironically, that people's identity is what they say it is and it's not your business. That is the unironically true, correct, based, no question about it, like, position, okay? I want to make that clear. I've made that clear many times before, but I'll make it clear again, because why not? Maybe new people watching this video. With that said, I also want to add that I think arguing for the validity of these identities is good. I don't think that just saying, I think non-binary identity is valid is enough. I think saying, I think non-binary identity is valid, and I want to understand why. And there is a why to why, like, non-binary identity is valid. Like, we can break down what gender is, and why it's not binary, why it's not the same as sex. And what Lily Orchard is saying here is, oh, you don't understand the difference between sex and gender? Well, instead of trying to explain it to you and like trying to make you understand, I'm going to call you the worst possible bigot and I guess assault you? Like, and by the way, Lily Orchard would not assault anybody who, like, misgendered her, okay? That's not, no fucking shot, okay? That is not how anything involving violence and trans people ever goes. Imagine ever fronting that, like Jesus Christ, how fucking tone deaf can you be? This is like, Lily Orchard is like the most privileged trans woman I've ever seen, but she goes around calling other trans women privileged while saying shit like this.
In gender. Essentially, someone's gender, name, pronouns, etc. aren't up for debate. They are for an individual to dictate on whatever weird whims they desire. If they want their pronoun to be anomaly, then anomaly pronoun is anomaly, end of discussion. In that framework, the only reason why you're using they, them pronouns for someone is because it's polite and there is literally nothing.
I'm sure the entirety of the public is going to agree. I'm sure the voting public who will decide on whether or not a Republican who will decide on whether or not trans people get to exist in America anymore will definitely love that argument. That I will knock your teeth out if you don't respect my pronouns being anomaly gender. That's definitely... oh, she's Canadian? Oh, okay, never mind. She doesn't... Okay, she's fine then. Okay. So, like, okay, that explains... Okay, all right. So we're literally dealing with, like, subhuman levels of takes here. Like, she's not even in imminent danger of the American right. Like... Canada's bad, but, like, it's not even close to what's going on here with, like, trans people. Okay. So she's just, like, this is literally like when alt-righters from Canada just, like, jump in on, like, the American politics. Because Lily is literally a Canadian commenting on American politics, because we're all American content creators talking about American politics, when it barely affects her. The most she can say it affects her is that Canada borders her and is a strong ally to America, and the rest of the world follows what America does. But trust me, if the GOP starts passing the no one's allowed to be trans anymore or we send you to prison bills, Canada probably isn't just going to follow the lead because America did it. I'm not watching the rest of this video. Go fuck yourself, Lily Orchard. We've watched enough of this. Thank you for telling me she's Canadian. Now we just know that none of her takes on this even matter. She's not even in imminent danger for, like, the like, onslaught of anti-trans genocidal rhetoric that is washing over America right now. What an absolute piece of fucking shit. What a privileged piece of fucking shit. What an absolute scum fucking sack of dog shit. What a steaming pile of vulture puke. And that's disgusting. I want you to imagine what the implications of a steaming pile of vulture puke are. Vulture puke. That is, I think Lily Orchard is more disgusting than steaming, hot, fresh vulture puke. Fermented, rotting flesh from roadkill that a vulture ate, that it vomited up onto the road, onto the Florida road to bake in the sun for like 5 minutes. That is less disgusting to be in the presence of than Lily Orchard. I feel more gross coming out of this video than I would if I had seen that in real life. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, the bell icon, and give me money like Lily Orchard said. I'm a grifter. I only want money. I only do this for money. Give me money. Money me now. Money me. Prove Lily Orchard right if you're a Lily Orchard fan by giving me money. You can also support me by commenting down below and following my social medias, linked down in the description as well. With all that said, no matter how you support me, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.